Hey folks, how we doing today? This is Bill with the Nintendo Super Power Club Challenge channel, and in honor of us recently surpassing our 50th video in the collection, we are going to be doing an update video, which is a little bit different than usual, but we are going to be going through the entire collection of trading cards from 1 through 170, and yes, I do have them all. But we're going to be seeing which cards we have completed, which cards we still have to go, and we're also going to be looking at some of the card challenges that are currently in the works, so you know what to expect for up in the future. Because right now we're at that point where we're kind of hitting the brick wall where it's not impossible, but we are hitting challenges that are going to start taking a little bit more time to complete than normal and necessary. So, with that being said, please bear in mind that this video could take an excessively long length of time compared to what you're used to seeing. It could be up to 30, 40, or even 50 minutes. So you definitely want to sit back and relax for this one because there will be some long, lengthy discussions to come, but hopefully you find them entertaining. I know I certainly did enjoy putting this together. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. Enjoy. Okay, we are off and running on our journey through the 170 card collection here, and first we're going to take a look at cards number 1 through 9. We have a good mix of cards from all three different systems here, starting off with Kirby's Dream Land and finishing up with ActRaiser on the Super NES. Looking at the cards that have already been completed on this list, I'm counting 1, 2, 3. So Tetris, Kid Icarus, and The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past have all been finished. As far as cards that I'm currently attempting, there's only one on that list, and that is the second Super Mario Bros. 3 challenge. So, if we flip it over and look at what the challenge is, this is a tough one, no doubt. They're asking us to complete World 8 as Small Mario and not dying once. Very tough. Very, very tough. The level that comes to mind in World 8, right off the top of my head, is the airship stage. For obvious reasons, if you don't have the raccoon or a suit that allows you to fly like the P-Wing, you're going to be up the creek, as they say. That is an extremely difficult level to finish without a flying suit. I have done it before, but doing it consistently is another matter. There's also several other stages in that world that are extremely difficult without a suit like that. World 8-1 comes to mind. But enough about that. That's probably going to take quite a while to finish. As far as other challenges on that sheet, I don't have any others that are currently in the works, but we will get to them soon enough. If you have any requests, as always, feel free to let me know, and let's move on to sheet number 2. Alright, next set of cards, we've got 10 through 18. Once again, good mix of all three systems here. As of this moment, we have completed 3 of these challenges, Faceball 2000, Gargoyle's Quest, and Wizards & Warriors X Fortress of Fear. So all 3 of those are done. I can tell you that right now I am working on a couple of these games that are still on this page. Looking at the actual challenges themselves, I can tell you that there are 2 in particular on this page that are extremely difficult. Super Ghouls and Ghosts, it's asking us to complete level 7, beat both bosses with the torch. Guys, it's hard enough just to get to those bosses with the torch, let alone defeat them. I've gotten through one of them at best, and that's on a really good day, but beating both is an extremely tall order, so we'll see if I ever complete that one. The other one is UN Squadron, card number 16. Beating that one, beating the first level on gamer level with the handicap in place, again, is a very tall order. Not saying it can't be done, but as of this moment, I've had a little bit of a difficulty completing that one. So that's where we stand on that page. Let's go ahead and check out the next ones. Alright, this next set of cards, man, we got a set of doozies here. You look at the top row real quick. Double Dragon 3, Super Smash TV, Battletoads. I'll tell you, those first 2 were probably 2 of the toughest challenges in the entire collection. In fact, no, I'll go on a limb. Super Smash TV is the toughest challenge in the entire collection, and you'll see why when we get to the back. But yeah, pretty much every game on this page I have played at least once or twice, some more than others. It's mostly NES, but again, good page here, good set of cards, very well done, well illustrated. As far as cards that are actually completed on this sheet, we only have one of them right now, and that is Adventure Island on the Game Boy. Again, as I was saying, the one that really draws my attention is number 20, Super Smash TV. You gotta beat Scarface using only your normal gun, and you have to do it without dying once. You know, for years, I went on thinking that this challenge was simply impossible because in order to damage him, especially in the second form, it was my belief and understanding that you kind of had to use the bazooka because, yeah, you got to get through the wall and then damage the bone structure of the face to fully kill it. So I really didn't even bother attempting it until I looked at an online walkthrough from the man who actually currently holds the world record for speedrunning this game, Mr. Brian Sulfur. I reached out to him and asked him this very question, and he confirmed to me that it actually is possible, in theory, to do this. He also said that he's about 99.999% sure that Nintendo and the developers never actually tested this challenge. So while it is possible in theory, it's highly unlikely that this challenge can be completed. Alright, well, I guess that's a small semblance of good news, but I'm not holding out hope for getting this challenge done anytime soon. Double Dragon 3 also very difficult. Beating the first level with only punches, that game's hard enough on its own, but handicapping yourself to punches only, good luck with that one. So yeah, I'd say Double Dragon 3 and Super Smash TV are easily two of the toughest challenges in the entire collection, so good luck with those ones. Alright, on this next sheet of cards here, as we take a look, we got quite a few heavy hitters here, and I mean that in the literal sense as well as figuratively. So you look out there, you got Punch-Out leading the way, and at the very end of that list, you got one of the two Super Mario Bros. 3 trading cards. As far as games that we've already completed, again, that would be those two, Punch-Out, Mario 3, and also Dino City on the Super NES. So those three are already done. As far as games on this list that I'm currently trying to work my way through, well, one of them, right in the middle, would be Super R-Type. So the challenge on Super R-Type is actually quite easy up until the boss. So you look at the card, the challenge states that we have to beat the first level by using our regular gun only. Alright, so if you've never played Super R-Type, basically it's the same kind of thing as Gradius or any of those horizontal 2D space shooters. The thing that makes it tough though is the final boss. On easy and normal, it's actually not too difficult to take down the boss, but on hard, he has an insane number of hit points, and unless you can use that charge beam, which I'm pretty sure is not allowed to be used in this challenge, he doesn't die. That's all I'm going to say. He does not die. I've spent minutes trying to take down one of the rotating pods, and it simply doesn't work. So I'm going to leave it at that and hope for the best. As far as the other cards out there, I'm not actively attempting any of the others, but if you see something out there that you like, just give me a shout, let me know, and we will get to it eventually. Alright, let's move on. Okay, looking at this next sheet of cards, we have some pretty iconic legendary games on this sheet, and we also have some very difficult games on this sheet. Fortunately, one nice thing to say about this set of 9 cards is that I have completed the most challenges on this individual sheet out of any other sheet in the collection. I've completed 5 of them. So which ones are done? You already have Gargoyles Quest 2, Batman, Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins, so the entire top row. We also have NCAA basketball, and lastly, the one which I most recently completed, which I believe makes challenge number 50 complete, is Spy vs. Spy, Operation Booby Trap down there in the bottom center. So all 5 of those are done. As far as the remaining challenges that have left to be done, the only one that I'm currently actively trying to get done is Super Mario Kart, the ever so popular game on the Super NES. If we take a look at the challenge itself, what it's asking us to do is complete the 100cc special cup without using any items. So basically what that means is you're running a time trial against 7 other computer opponents who can use items. So not very fair, right? The only good thing about this is that it's the 100cc and not the 150cc. I've made several attempts at this, I've come very close, but you never realize just how good you have it with those items until you can't use them. You have to really have your mechanics and your fundamentals down on this challenge if you're going to be successful. And even then, you still might get gypped. It's really, really tough. That's all I'm going to say on it. Alright, next set of cards here. We got cards number 46 through 54. Got a good mix of cards from all 3 different systems. Mostly action-based, with a couple obscure titles in there. As far as games that have already been completed, we have Super Spy Hunter, and also Conquest of the Crystal Palace, both on the NES. But aside from that, the only other card on this sheet that I'm actively pursuing is the game that you hear the background theme for, which is Soul Blazer. Soul Blazer is the predecessor to Illusion of Gaia, which is another game we've already completed in this collection and will be discussed a little bit later on. But if you look at the card here, the challenge asks us to essentially get to the boss of Greenwood Forest without using your sword. If it sounds hard, it's probably because it is. The way that you have to do that is use your secondary weapon items, and the problem with it is that it runs on secondary ammunition, and if you run out of it, you really can't do the challenge because there are sections where you have to kill enemies. You can't simply just treat it as a pacifist challenge and run to the boss. You do need to kill some enemies to make this happen. So it is very difficult. I've made several attempts at it, but I found the only way I'm going to pull it off is to stock up and grind on that secondary ammo to make this possible. So that's where we're at on this sheet. Nothing else is really actively being sought after. Let's go ahead and move on to the next sheet of 9 cards. Okay, we start rounding out the first third of the card collection here, and we see that we have some pretty well-known and pretty fun games on this sheet right now. So you look right in the middle, obviously you have Street Fighter 2, you got Bubsy, if you want to call that fun, Mega Man, obviously well-known. As for the games that have already been completed on this sheet, we have, I count 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, so this is a pretty good sheet for progress. Street Fighter 2, Mega Man 4, Bubsy, Claws Encounter to the Third Kind, and Super Batter Up. Those have all been finished, so we're almost halfway done with this. For the games that we are currently actively attempting to complete, there's only one on this sheet right now, and that is Bart vs. the Space Mutants. So, as anyone knows who's ever played that game, the controls are wickedly god-awful broken, and the challenge has much less to do than the play control on it. For the challenge itself, we need to complete the first level while finishing it with no less than 22 coins. So if you ever played the game, obviously you know you have to use coins to buy items in order to complete necessary sections of the game. And you need to be able to find every single available coin to complete this. You can probably get through with at least 22 if you're lucky, but you definitely need to find every coin to have a shot at this. Well, that just about does it for this sheet. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Alrighty, we start looking at this next sheet of 9, and very similar to another sheet we just recently looked at, this is another very successful sheet in terms of completed challenges. We've done 5 out of the 9. So, completed challenges, we have Maniac Mansion up there in the top left, obviously one of my favorite games of all time. We've also taken care of Star Fox right there in the middle, Ninja Gaiden 3, Tom and Jerry on the Game Boy, and last but not least, Super Off-Road in the bottom middle there. So 5 of the 9 are done. As far as the remaining 4 go, the only one that I'm really actively attempting to go after is TECMO Super Bowl on the NES, which also has a game version on the Super NES, which I feel is far superior, but the NES is still pretty good. But as far as the challenge goes, if you want to go ahead and take a quick look at it, it states that we need a minimum of 6,000 yards rushing in the regular season. Now, if you've played TECMO Super Bowl on either of the two systems, then you know that if you pick the correct team and the correct player, that it is very possible to abuse and glitch the AI. So, usually if you go with Bo Jackson, which is most people's favorite character to go with, you can very easily run around the entire field, and getting 6,000 yards in a season, although would be impossible in real life, is very possible in TECMO Super Bowl. So, I'm going to have fun posting that one eventually. Other than that, I have no plans to tackle the remaining 3, but obviously we will get to them. If you see something you like, let me know. Alright, on this sheet of cards, we have a mix of games that are pretty well known and several that are not well known. As far as games that have already been completed, that would be none. Not a single game I have been able to knock off this list, and it's not through lack of effort. I have tried on a couple of these. The only one that I'm really actively pursuing right now is the one in the bottom right, Super Mario All-Stars on the Super NES. In terms of the challenge itself, if you flip it over, what it's asking us to do is complete the lost levels without warping. So for anyone who lives under a rock at this point and has never played the game, Mario All-Stars The Lost Levels is the Japanese Super Mario Bros. 2, which is basically Mario Bros. 1, but amped up on steroids. Much, much more difficult levels. I have done it in the past several times. It's not that I think it's a difficult challenge, I just have to sit down and force myself to do it for the 30, 40, 50 minutes, however long it takes to complete all of those levels. Very fun game. I will complete it eventually, but that's the only one that I'm actively trying at right now. Other than that, I do want to make an attempt or a shot at Link's Awakening. It's just another time killer, another time consumer, so we will get to that one probably after Mario All-Stars. Alright, and as we take a look at this sheet of cards, we officially hit the halfway mark in the collection. We're looking at cards number 82 to 90. As you know, there's 170 cards in this whole deal. Alrighty, now for the cards that we've already completed, I'm counting 1, 2, 3 of them. Alright, so Yoshi's Cookie on, actually both Yoshi's Cookie on the NES and Super NES are both done, as well as Battletoads and Battle Maniacs in the bottom right hand corner. So all 3 of those cards are done. As far as the rest of these cards, I have made attempts on basically all of them at some point, with the exception of the tennis game. And I can't really say that I'm actively pursuing any of these games, with the exception of maybe Legend of Zelda, but I'm not going to talk about that one too in depth right now because I'm actually making an attempt at both Legend of Zelda challenges at the exact same time. And we're going to have more on that a little bit later. But trust me, whenever that video does pop up, it's going to be quite the entertaining one, and it's going to be quite the difficult one. It may very well be one of the most difficult challenges, or combination of challenges, in the entire collection. So for that reason, because I'm not actively pursuing any of these challenges at the moment, I'm not really going to discuss them any further. There's no point in talking about the challenges, unless anyone out there really wants to see them or wants me to go after one of them. So if you do, let me know. But I'm not going to waste any more time on these. So let's get on to the next sheet. Ah, that familiar gong is calling my name. Alright, as we approach card number 100 in this collection, we're starting to get into some games that I'm very familiar with, and also quite a few games on this sheet have already been completed. Speaking of which, we have 4 games on this sheet have been knocked off the list. So you have Battletoads, Double Dragon, The Ultimate Team, that one's gone. Zombies Ate My Neighbors, which was one of the very first challenges we ever took care of way back when we began doing this thing. What else? Jurassic Park in the corner, Tic-Tac-Toe, and then pretty recently we also took care of WWF King of the Ring on the NES, which was one of the easiest challenges in the history of existence with that ring out cheese. So that's 4 out of 9 that are done, with a few more to go. The only card on this sheet that I'm actively trying to complete is Mortal Kombat. Figure that one out. As far as the challenge itself goes, let's go ahead and take a closer look at it. Alright, so what they're asking us to do is get up to Goro on medium difficulty without using any special moves. Pretty straightforward. And the nice thing is, in the original Mortal Kombat, jump kicks are a very effective way to beat your opponent. And if you're good at the game, you honestly probably don't need to use very many special moves. You can probably win most of your matches with standard jump kicks, sweeps, and uppercuts. If you have a good, solid understanding of the fundamentals, you can probably beat that challenge. So I'm not worried about it. I've been holding off on it for a while because I wanted to get some of the lesser-known games out of the way and give them some exposure. But I think it's about time to let Mortal Kombat have its time in the spotlight. So it is coming, along with Mortal Kombat 2, which is going to be discussed a little bit later in this collection. Aside from that, I might make an attempt at Seventh Saga, which is a very fun RPG. I just haven't gotten around to it as of late. But that's about it. Anything else on there I really haven't touched. So that does it for up to card number 99. And let's start breaking into the triple digits now. Alright, welcome to Triple Digitsville in the NSPC3 collection here. Looking at this sheet of 9 cards, there are 2 challenges that we have already completed. You got Street Fighter 2 Turbo in the top right corner, and then also we have DuckTales 2 in the bottom right hand corner. So 2 are done with 7 to go, and you've got some extremely difficult, frustrating games on this list. Looking at all what we got up here, ActRaiser 2 is, in my opinion, one of the toughest Super NES games ever made. It's extremely difficult compared to the original, and I have no plans to tackle it anytime soon. What else you got up there? NHL Stanley Cup is a game and a challenge which I will probably never complete because it's asking us to score a ridiculous amount of goals over an 84-game season, so please forgive me if you don't see that one anytime soon. Other than that, the only one which I may make an attempt at is Secret of Mana, although I'm not actively pursuing it. I just have too many other games on my plate which I think are a little bit easier and shorter. Yeah, everything else I really don't care for, I really haven't touched. But if you see something you like, let me know. I'll give it a shot. But there you go. That's what we got for this sheet, and we're going to make it quick and move on to the next one. Alright, moving ahead into this next sheet of cards here. We got some pretty hefty, beefy, meaty adventure games. And we've got 3 of them that have already been completed. We got Mighty Final Fight on the NES, Zoda's Revenge, Star Tropics 2, so both of the NES games are completed, as well as Mega Man X. So we got 3 of these games gone. As far as the remaining games, there's really nothing that I'm actively pursuing, but there is one game that I would like to talk about just for the simple fact that I won't even be able to attempt it, and that is Metal Combat. Not Mortal Kombat, Metal Combat. And the reason why is because it's a Super Scope game. You know that bazooka, the light gun? There's actually a couple Super Scope game challenges on this series, and Metal Combat is one of them. Unfortunately, I do not have a Super Scope in my possession, and because of that, I unfortunately will not be able to make an attempt on this challenge. It's a fun game, I wish I could do it, but right now, until I get one, I just can't do it, so we're going to bypass that one for right now. You probably noticed Lester the Unlikely in the bottom center there. That's the game that was made popular by the Angry Video Game Nerd for all the wrong reasons. It is a challenging game. We will get to that at some point. It's not really on my agenda right now. And with that being said, let's go ahead and wrap this sheet up and move on to the next one. Okie dokie, we are turning and burning through these cards right now. See what I did there? Nice little segue, top left. Ha ha ha. Alright, enough bad puns. As far as the cards on this sheet go, we have 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. We got Darkwing Duck, which was just recently uploaded. Mega Man 6 on the NES, TMNT Tournament Fighters, and then also Stunt Race FX. So 4 of those challenges have been completed with 5 to go. So let's look at Super Metroid with that ominous music playing in the background. Essentially what this challenge amounts to is nothing more than a speed run. You gotta complete the game with more than 15% of the items and less than 2 hours. Alright, essentially if you've played the game a million times, you've probably done this already. Alright? If you can beat the game in a relatively short period of time, if you know the game backwards and forwards, chances are you're going to be able to complete this challenge. You don't have to be a speedrunner like Behemoth or Zost or any of those other guys out there. If you can do it in a relatively short period of time, you can probably beat the pro level challenge. So I'll just leave it at that. The other one I want to take a look at is, again, the only Mega Man game in the series that has not been completed, and that's the lone Game Boy game, Mega Man 4. So you look at this one, as you can see, the Pro Challenge is asking us to complete Dr. Wily's spaceship without buying a super tank. Alright, so honestly, I don't think it's that difficult. If you can beat the spaceship in the first place, you can beat the challenge. Alright, I don't think it's hard enough to require using a super tank. Alright, maybe the first few times playing the game you might need it, but you know, once you know the game, once you've played it a few times, you probably don't need it. Other than that, I'm not really tackling any of these other cards out there. So that's what we got on this sheet, and let's just move on to the next one. And as we start to dive deeper and deeper into this collection, we see a wide variety of Game Boy games here and only one NES game, Bonk's Adventure. In terms of progress and challenges completed on this sheet, I'm counting 2 of them right now. That would be Super Street Fighter 2 on the SNES, and also Donkey Kong in the bottom right corner. One thing I'll point out really quick, don't be thrown off by the fact that Monster Max is listed twice. That is not a typo. This is actually a rare instance where one particular game had 2 separate variations on the trading card. The challenges are exactly the same, so don't worry about that. It's not like Legend of Zelda or Black Bass Fishing, Super Mario, or Kirby's Adventure, where it's 2 different cards that have 2 different challenges. So just wanted to kind of point that out really quickly. In terms of challenges that I'm actively going after on this sheet, there's only one, and that is the Twisted Tales of Spike McFang on the Super NES, right there in the middle. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at it, just so you know what I'm tackling here. Challenge itself says we need to complete the freezer in the Ice Palace, get up to that point, and beat the boss using only the Hat Toss, which is essentially a melee attack. Alright, so that's pretty tough, obviously. Melee attacks meaning you have to get in close in order to do any damage, so you can't do anything from long range, full screen. You gotta put yourself into vulnerable positions to get this challenge done. It is difficult. I am making an active attempt on it, and I think I should be able to post that one pretty soon, but just giving you guys a little heads up here. Other than that, I'm not really attempting anything else on this sheet, and we will just move on to the next ones. Okay, entering into the home stretch with only about 3 or 4 more sheets to go. Alright, on this sheet, take a look at as far as progress. I only have 2 challenge cards that have been completed. Joe and Mac 2, Lost in the Tropics, up there in the top left, and then also in the bottom center we have Breakthrough on the Game Boy. So both of those games are done and out of the way. Other than that, I gotta be honest, a lot of these games here I really don't have much interest in, and that's really why I haven't even tackled them one time, let alone made serious attempts at them. The only exception, obviously, as you can tell from the music here, is Final Fantasy III/6. And I haven't made a real attempt on it for an obvious reason, and that will become apparent when we take a look at the challenge here, which is right now. So, the challenge states that we need to complete the entire game without dying once, / continuing. Alright, so to be clear on that, you are allowed to save the game. You are allowed to, save the game as many times as you want. But the moment you die or have a game over, enemy team, your own team is annihilated, then the challenge is over. So, you can do the challenge in one sitting, but it's probably safer to do it in multiple attempts, in multiple saves. So obviously this is not the kind of challenge that I can upload within a 5, 10, 15, 20 minute span. It's going to take many, many hours. Even if you speed run it, it's going to take quite a long time. There is a way that you can glitch the game and complete it within 30 to 40 minutes, but in order to do that you have to die, which goes against the whole purpose of the challenge here. So that's out the window. My thought process for doing this challenge is to do a live stream of it, which I think will be a lot more fun and entertaining for the viewers and the subscribers anyway. So I will be doing that one at some point. I'm looking very forward to doing that one because this is one of my favorite games on the Super NES. So that's in the works. I don't know when it's coming, but that is my thought process for it. Other than that, like I said, no real plans to tackle any of these other games just yet. So let's go on and continue to the next set. Okay, last few sheets, we're rounding it out right now. Alright, we've got cards number 144 through 152, and in terms of cards and challenges that we've already completed, I'm only looking at 2 of them right now. That is Donkey Kong Country and Super Bomberman 2, 2 of the Super NES games in the corners there. So 2 very fun games, already done and completed. As far as the rest of these games go, some very popular games out there, including Zelda, which is the second time you've seen it. I'm not making an active attempt on that, but that will be coming eventually. I'm very, very excited to do that when the time does come. I have started to get into Kirby's Adventure and Blackthorn. I'm nowhere near ready to post a challenge yet on those games, but I have started getting into them. So I would say eventually you'll start seeing those challenges. Other than that, no real plans to tackle any of the other remaining challenges in terms of Star Trek, Superman, Prehistoric Man, Daffy Duck. Don't really care right now. Alright, let's go and continue on with the last 2 sheets. Alrighty, we're just about done here. We've got this and 1 more sheet to go. These are cards number 153 through 161, and in terms of the challenges that we've already completed here, I'm counting 3 of them. We have Super Punch-Out, we have Illusion of Gaia, which is the sequel to Soul Blazer we looked at earlier, and then last but not least, we have the only NES game on this list, which is Yoshi. So 3 of those games are done, leaving us 6 to go. In terms of games that I am actively pursuing on this sheet, there are actually 2 of them. We'll take a look at both of them. The first one is going to be the game that you hear the background music for, which is Fire Striker. Fire Striker is a unique little gem on the SNES, and if I could describe it best, it's a nice little mix of action, adventure, and pinball, if that makes any sense. You act as this guy who's going around and you kind of have to like flip him around using pinball flippers, so to speak, to get him up through the enemies. It's kind of reminds me of Pinball Quest way back on the NES, so very, very fun game. The other game that I'm making an attempt to tackle is Wild Snake on the Super NES. So this game was made by Alexei Pajitnov, the creator of Tetris, and basically you've got a whole bunch of snakes coming down from the ceiling, and the idea is to match as many of them as you possibly can to get them off your screen. The challenge is asking us to match 200 of them. Sounds like a lot, and it is. My best number to this point is about 150, and that's when I'm playing at my absolute best. But I will tell you that is extremely, very, very tough. The thing that makes it tough is there are probably more than 10 different types of snakes that come out there, and waiting for a match can be extremely tedious and time consuming, and that's probably what makes it so difficult, combined with the speed in which those snakes come down. Alright, that just about wraps it up for this sheet of cards. Let's move on to the very last set of 9. Alright, and the sun is finally setting on this collection here in this update. As far as games that we have completed on this final sheet, there is only one, and that is Stop This Roach, that Game Boy game in the bottom left corner. As for games that are currently underway and in progress, that would be Mortal Kombat 2, first and foremost. For anyone who does not know by this point, I am a very prominent player in the Mortal Kombat 2 Classic community. That is a game I've been playing ever since it first came out, and I don't play it as much anymore, but I still do play it quite frequently. As for everything else on there, not a whole lot to speak of aside from Tin Star, and I only mention that because it's another Super Scope game, but it has the option of allowing you to play with a regular controller, so at least with that game I have the opportunity to finish that one. But as for Mortal Kombat 2, since I am actively tackling that one, let's take a quick look at it. And what the challenge is asking us to do is complete very hard difficulty without using any special moves. So once again, like Mortal Kombat 1, they're essentially telling us to have a perfect grasp of the fundamentals of this game. That means jump kicks, sweeps, uppercuts, roundhouses, throws, etc. You name it, those are in play, but anything else, can't do it. So if you're thinking of backing up and being a cheese all day with Baraka's Shredder, it ain't gonna happen. So good luck with this one. As to my knowledge, to date, nobody on YouTube or anywhere else has posted a run-through of the very hard difficulty without a single special move. So this would be a first if and when I'm able to upload this, and I do anticipate it happening fairly soon. Alright, that's going to do it for this update video. Thank you guys for sticking around through the entire thing. Hope you guys enjoyed listening to the entire collection and seeing what's on the gamut coming up. If you guys have any requests, once again, please feel free to let me know, put them in the comments. Otherwise, look forward to what's coming out in the near future, and I will see you guys down the road.